Hello everyone, I am Mr.GraySkies. Welcome to the Horror Archive. Tonight's stories are brought to you by DoverHawk on Reddit. Story 1, Screaming by DoverHawk. As my grandmother neared the end of her life, I did everything I could to spend as much time with her as possible. We'd always been close, and as she approached death's door, she had told me several times how great it was that so many of her last moments were spent with me. I put on a brave face for her while I was there, but the truth was that I agonized over every passing moment that I didn't spend with her. The thought of losing the woman who raised me was ever present, especially at night. As the days became weeks, sleep became harder and harder. Nightmares plagued my sleep. I woke up several times a night in a cold sweat. All I could ever remember about the dreams was the screaming. It was incessant and violent and grew louder until I thought my ears would bleed. It was then that I'd finally wake up. On my grandmother's final night, she looked haggard and exhausted, a shadow of the woman she was even weeks before. "I can't wait for this to be over," she whispered softly. "Your grandfather was right." "Right about what?" I asked. "The worst part about death isn't the dying. It's that screaming that wakes you up at night. He said it got louder as he got closer to death. And honey, let me tell you, that screaming was so loud in my dreams the past few nights I thought my ears were gonna bleed." Behind my house was a large field of dry grass and bushes. My mother always hated it when my little brother and I played there because she was worried about us getting hurt, but she never really stopped us. The grass was tall, up to my thigh in some places, and was perfect for playing hide and seek. One of us would count to 100 and the other would run as far as he could and dive into the grass, laying perfectly still and listening to the rustle of the other's footsteps as he searched. We would play this for hours some days when it wasn't too hot, and even at night when we could manage to get out. In the center of the field stood a large dead tree, which was always where the person counting stood. That day it was my little brother's turn to count. He rested his face against the trunk of the tree and counted backwards from 100 as I sprinted through the dry grass. I could hear his voice in the 20s now, and was preparing to hit the ground when my foot caught something, and I was sent hurtling down toward the earth. With a painful thud, I hit the dirt. I went to cry out for my brother to stop the game, but as the dust from my fall cleared, I found that I could no longer speak. Inches from my face, staring back at me with dried eyes, was the thin, pale face of my little brother. The skin on his face was dry and taut, and his teeth shone through thin lips like a grimace. Flies buzzed in and out of his ears, nose, and eyes. I wanted to scream. But what stopped me was the distant voice behind me, counting backwards from 100. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready or not, here I come.